Good morning and welcome to the webinar. Today we're joined by special guest Dennis Heywood of Social Security Solutions. Just some housekeeping. If you have a question, put it in the chat box to the right. We'll get to them at the end of the presentation. I know there'll be a lot of questions, so we just put them in the chat box and we'll get to them at the end. If there's an issue with the sound, or if you're having trouble viewing something, I check this in real time and I'll try to address it. So throw that in the chat box as well if you have any issues with the technology. Here's my information. By all means, give me a call if you have any questions about individual, namely the quoting, the marketing, and the service issues associated with the individual market. Eric Pouncey Jr., he's also a broker specialist. He serves in the same role as I do. There's his phone number and email address. Sandy Weber is our licensing guru. If you're not appointed with any of the individual carriers that we offer, please give her a call and she can get you set up and we can get you all locked and loaded for OEP 2021, which is 17 weeks away. 17 weeks away. Joyce Fine Hours and Commissions, that's her phone number, email address. Any issues related to comp, give her a call. Again, there's my information. Cornerstone's incentive program will be back in 2021 with all new prizes. Qualifiers have the chance to win up to $5,000 in a travel voucher for a weekend getaway to a destination of your choice. Brokers qualify by earning points for new to Cornerstone group and individual medical and ancillary sales. A minimum of 2,000 points to be eligible for a cash reward and a chance to win the bonus weekend getaway. The top 20 qualifiers earn cash, and brokers must register online in order to participate. And there is the email address right there. And the point earning period is from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st of 2020. AUTOPILOT is a compensation-based client referral program that offers the services of licensed reps to quote, enroll, support, and provide year-round service to clients that may fall out of your business scope, but never off your radar. Under this program, you can focus on growing your business with the assurance that your clients will continue to receive the benefits of your market expertise and continued superior service and support. Our talented team will take care of your clients' health insurance needs for individual and family coverage, employee benefits, or Medicare solutions. Activate AUTOPILOT today. Click on the link and or just give me a call. Just a little background on Denny. Denny's career with Social Security provides an in-depth working knowledge of the Social Security Administration's internal organization and processes. An expert of all phases of the SSA programs, whether it be retirement, survivor, disability, or Medicare. Denny has expertise with the complex Social Security regulations based on more than 40 years of experience. Okay, and without further ado, I'm going to send it to Denny. Let's put him on screen.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Good to be with you all. I thought I'd give you a little bit more background on myself, some of the more finer details before we get into the subject matter. I'm a local, went to Purcell High School, graduated from Xavier University, and was in the Army for a couple of years after that. I started my career with Social Security in 1973 and took an early out, a 6-month early out in 2001. And worked for an attorney for a couple of years who did Social Security disability representational work at the hearing level. And then in 2004, I broke out on my own, and I've been doing this for obviously 16 years, and I love it. Gives me something to do. I do this, I golf, and I go to my children's softball and baseball games that are excruciatingly slow, but I do that because I love them. I live in Loveland, Ohio. I'm married to my wife, Barb, and we have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Today's subject is very complex for a lot of people, and so I try to present it in a gradual way where we learn some concepts first. And the first concept, when we look at any benefit you're getting from Social Security, any benefit except disability, is governed by your full retirement year. We'll refer to as FRA, your full retirement age, full retirement year, and the annual earnings test. So let's talk first about your full retirement year. What does that mean? Your full retirement age or your full retirement year is the year, month and year, you reach age 66 if you were born between 1943 and 54. The significance of your full retirement age is if you take your benefit then, at full retirement age, it will not be reduced. You take it prior to that, at age 62, 63, 64, 65, you're going to suffer a reduction. Now, at 62, it's about a 26-27% reduction. At 65, it's probably about a 7 or 8% reduction, but it will be reduced. If you were born in 1955, your full retirement month is the month you reach age 66 plus 2 months. So if you were born in January of 55, your full retirement month is March of 2021, and 2021 is your full retirement year. And so on down the pecking order, you can see here, through people born in 1960 or later, the month they turn 67, the year they turn 67 is their full retirement age year and full retirement age month. It's significant to note that there are strategies and options that you can exercise in your full retirement year that people will miss out on, and I'm going to go into that. So this is your full retirement age, full retirement year. At that point, your benefit's not reduced. You would get your full benefit. And your full benefit from Social Security is based on your highest 35 years of work and earnings under the Social Security system. So they're using your high 35, and they're always looking, as a year ends, they'll see, 2019's done, and I made $130,000 that year. And they'll go back and they'll drop a year, maybe 1985 that they were using at $40,000, and they'll pick up the 2019 year as a high year, and thus your benefit changes in the following year because they're using a higher tax base. So they're constantly looking, and now once you stop working, that's it. Your benefit's going to stay like it is except for cost of living increases. Those are the only two ways your benefit can increase, through your earnings and through cost of living increases. Retirement earnings test. I refer to it as the AET, annual earnings test. There's a lot of people that question through the years why they even have it. I mean, if you want your benefit at 62, take it. Well, they never changed it because what would happen is they would bleed the trust funds, probably dry very quickly if everybody could take their benefit early, because a lot of people would and keep on working. But this earnings test, excuse me, if you're not in your full retirement year, which means it's between age 62 and 65, you're subject to a limit of $18,240. That's the most you can make in a year. And the $18,240 I'm referring to is purely money from W-2 earnings or self-employment, one of the two. That's what they're looking at. How much are you making? Quote unquote, are you retired? If you're making less than $18,000, we consider you retired and you could take your benefit early. But if you're making more than $18,240, they apply the $1 for $2 rules. They withhold $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn over the $18,240. So let's say you made $20,240 in a year and you were getting your Social Security benefit, or you wanted to file for it. Either way, what Social Security would say, well, we'll pay you, but you're $2,000 over the limit, and we're going to withhold $1,000 in benefits before we start paying you. So if you file in January, they would withhold January's check, February's check until they, whatever it was, until they got their $1,000, and then they start paying you for the rest of the year. That's the earnings test for persons that are not in their full retirement year. The year of full retirement age, if you were born in 1954, this year your earnings limit would be $48,600. It only applies to earnings for months prior to full retirement month. Now keep in mind, when I say earnings, I'm not talking about IRA, savings, anything else. There's no other limitations except how much are you making from your job or self-employment. So it only applies to earnings prior to the month you turn 66. So you might make $100,000 a year in that year, which I'll show you in a few minutes, an example. But you were born in May, so they're only looking at what you're earning January through April. You're not making $100,000. You're making about $32,000. So you could take your benefit in January. If you do go over this limit, they withhold $1 in benefits for every $3 you go over that $48,600. This is a very important thing you want to note to self. You need to sit down and do some math the fall before your full retirement year. Because people leave money on the table thinking, well, I got to wait till my full retirement month. Well, as you'll see in a few minutes, no, you don't. You would take a slight reduction, but you could put another $13,000, $15,000 in your pocket, depending on your circumstances. There's also a special rule for first year of retirement. And I'm talking about if you're retiring, when you're 62, 63, or 64. In that year that you retire, the first year, they give you a special allowance that, let's say you quit June 30th. In July, you're going to start taking your benefit. You quit working June 30th, but you made $80,000 up until then. The first year they give you a break. They say, okay, we're not going to look at that $80,000 unless you earn over the monthly limit, which is about $1,420 a month. That's $18,240 divided by 12, I think, or $1,450, something like that. They'll say, you're not working anymore, and if you are working, don't make over that monthly limit. We'll pay you all the way to the end of the year and continuing. Now, the next year, they look at your total earnings. There's no break like that. So they're looking at everything you're making. But in the first year, simply said, you can quit working in the middle of the year or in September 30th and start your check October, November, December. That's how that retirement test works. Let's look at the eligibility factors to draw a retirement benefit. Number one, you must be at least age 62. You need 40 quarters of coverage. Most people have that. That's about 10 years work under Social Security. You've got to file an application, either online or you make an appointment with them. We'll talk more about that next week when we're in 201. The earnings test applies until your full retirement month. So those are the factors that govern whether you can file. Whether you want to file is another question. Maybe you want to wait till age 66 and a half or age 70. Personal choice. Here are retirement options that exist. You can take your benefit at age 62, okay, and take about a 25 to 30% reduction. It gets closer to 30% for people born later. Like people born in 1957, 58, and 59, they'll take a higher hit at 62. But they're also going to get their benefit for a longer period of time before age 66. So you could take your benefit at 62 up through 65 or in January of your full retirement year. This is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. When we're looking at January of your full retirement year, people leave a lot of money on the table that they might have taken. And by the way, in my consulting, I don't tell people when to file. I show them what's available, and they make the choice with their financial planner, because I'm not a financial planner. But I want to show you an example. I've got an Excel file here. This is the Excel file of someone who was born in June 1954. It is now January of 2020, and they're going to start their benefit early. And they're making $100,000 a year. They're not quitting their job. So their full retirement age is 66. Their full retirement age benefit, if they waited till June, would be $2,800. But they take their benefit in January. They take a 2.8%, $78 reduction, and their benefit starting in January is $2,722. Now look at this block here with the wages. 2020 wages or self-employment. Estimate, and you're giving them an estimate. They're paying you based on your estimate. They'll reconcile it the following year when you file your tax return. But you've got to be fairly close on this. I always tell people, if you're going to give them an estimate, estimate a little high. But this person's estimating they're going to make $100,000 in 2020. Their earnings prior to their full retirement month, $41,667. 100,000 divided by 12 times 5. That's what they're making prior to June. That's what Social Security's looking at. That's what puts them under this 2020 earnings limit. And they can take their benefit because they have no excess earnings. It's a negative amount there. So they start in January through May. We're looking at what you can get prior to their full retirement month. $2,722 a month at 5 months. They can draw $13,610 with no loss in benefit. There's no excess earnings. They weren't over the limit. If they decided, no, I'm going to wait till June and take my $2,800, they would be leaving $13,600 on the table. It'd take them 14 and a half years at the extra $78 a month to get back this $13,610. Most people are inclined to take this early, to take the January benefit if they were going to take it in June anyway. So this is an example of someone filing in January of their full retirement year. But you can't wait till February and March, because once February and March gets here, you've lost January as an eligibility month. So now you're getting benefits. If you wait till February, that's only 4 months there. 4 months at $2,722. Maybe $2,728, be a little higher. So this is filing in your full retirement year. You can wait till 70. Delayed retirement credits. You get an 8% compounded increase in your benefit, compounded annually through age 70. For many people, this could be $800-900 more a month. Well, why would you do that when you're leaving all that money on the table? Because you're going to leave maybe $100,000, $115,000 on the table over that 4-year period. If you take your $2,800 times 48, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Well, number one, you don't need it. You're working, don't need it. Number two, what that does is it maximizes any widow benefit. So if you're married, your wife's going to get what you were receiving when you died. The other option is restrict to a spousal benefit at full retirement age. The only people that can do this are persons born prior to 1954. There's less and less of them. I just got a call yesterday from a couple one was 67, one was 68, and they wanted to know what to do. Well, I'll tell you right now, one of them's left some money on the table because they were born before 1953, before 1954. So what we've got here, when you restrict to a spousal benefit, normally the higher wage earner restricts to the spouse's benefit half of their full age retirement benefit. That's a strategy that can be used only if you were born in 1953. So they're getting money. Their spouse must file and take his or her benefit. They file and take half of that benefit, full retirement age benefit, and they receive that through age 70, and then switch to their own benefit, the higher wage earner does, at a much higher rate, maybe $800-900 more a month. But they're getting money and a spousal benefit through that 4-year period through age 70. You can't do that if you were born in 1954 or later. Who can receive on your record before you die? So this is a life benefit. Your spouse or divorced spouse who is at least age 62, possible that they can receive on your record. That depends how much they can get on their own record. A spouse or divorced spouse of any age, if a child is under age 16, is in his or her care. Quick example, if a client who turned 66 a couple years ago, his wife was age 51, okay, about 51. They had a 17-year-old, I think, roughly, or 20-year-old son who was disabled from birth. She had to care for that child. She's 51 years old. She's not 62 yet, but she had to care for that child. Both her, the child, and the wage earner can receive on that record. Third bullet, unmarried children through the age of 18, if they're in school at an accredited high school. Children disabled prior to age 22. I just mentioned that's a possibility. But there's also, couples that have 15, 16-year-olds and they're filing for Social Security. So those children will be eligible through age 18 if they stayed in school. The benefit they receive, anyone on your record, is 1/2 of the wage earner's full retirement age benefit subject to the family maximum. Wow, that's a mouthful. So let's say this, like the example before, an individual could get $2,800 a month and his wife files on his record. And they're both full retirement age. He gets $2,800, she gets $1,400. She never worked. However, let's say she did work and she has her own Social Security benefit that she could get. So instead of the $1,400, Social Security is going to say, you got to file for your own first. And if she can get $1,600 on her own record, she's getting 0 spousal benefit. If she can get $800 on hers at full retirement age, she might get around $600 on his record. People get very confused about the spousal benefit, how it works, but each person on the record gets 1/2 of the wage earner's full retirement age benefit, up to the family maximum. Now, the family maximum is about 150% of the full retirement age benefit. So in other words, somebody with a $2,800 full retirement age benefit, the family maximum would be somewhere around $4,300, $4,400 for the whole family. So if you got 8 kids, they're all not going to get $1,400 a month. They're going to divide the family maximum up. These are people that can receive on your record before you die. Just to clarify, I want to go over the spousal benefit calculation. How this works, I just explained it a minute ago, but this is more reality of looking at the numbers here. The higher wage earner at full retirement age, which means the month and year they turn 66, could draw $2,000 a month. The lower wage earner, full retirement age spousal benefit, will be $1,000, half of that $2,000. Unless if they worked on their own, the lower wage earner's own full retirement age benefit is $800. So their own full retirement's $800, so that reduces that $1,000 spousal benefit to $200 a month as a spouse, payable at full retirement age. And keep in mind, if this is taken earlier, then this $200 and that $800 are going to be reduced. The spousal benefit is only payable when the higher PIA, when the higher wage earner, PIA is the same thing as full age retirement benefit, when the higher benefit starts receiving benefits, unless they're divorced from the couple. The couple's divorced. A divorced spouse can receive can file on the accompanying spouse's record and draw a spousal benefit if they're eligible for it, as long as they've been divorced for 2 years and they were married for 10 before the divorce. That's called an independently entitled divorced spouse. Someone who, it used to be like let's say, for example, the husband decided, I'm really going to get her. I'm not going to file, and she can't get anything until I file. It used to be that way until about 20 years ago when Social Security changed the law. And the independently entitled divorced spouse situation it prevents that exactly. It doesn't matter if the main wage earner, if the husband filed, the wife can get the spousal benefit even if he has not filed, and vice versa. So this is how the spousal benefit is calculated. Talk about voluntary suspensions. After April 30th, 2016, if you suspend, no one can receive on your suspended record except divorced spouses. That's important to note because I've dealt with a lot of divorced spouses who have left a lot of money on the table because they didn't think they could get on the spouse's record. If you suspend now, your divorced spouse could receive a spousal benefit on your record, even though you're suspended. If you suspended after April 30th, 2016, you are limited in that suspension when you want to start your benefit. Let's say you suspend your benefit at age 66 and at 68 you want to start it up again. Well, you can, but they're going to pay you starting with the month after you start it. Previously, on suspensions before April 30th, 2016, if you suspended at age 68 or 9, you could go to Social Security and say, hey, I want my benefit. Pay me back to the month I turned 66. It's kind of a cash cow. There's no retroactive right to your benefit, like I explained. When you take it, you get the future month, so you're not getting the retroactive right. And in conjunction with that, it eliminates the 6-month retro possibility. So if somebody's suspended, they can't go back, and they're 68 years old, they can't go back 6 months. This is why suspension makes no sense at all, except in a rare case. If you suspend, you can't go back 6 months. If you're not suspended, you can go to Social Security. Nobody's filed yet. You go to Social Security and say, hey, I want my benefit. I'm 68 years old. Pay me back 6 months. And they'll pay you back 6 months retroactive. But if you suspended, they won't pay you back. Suspensions are unnecessary, rare, and the only case I would say a suspension works well is if you have a disabled child. You could suspend, the child could file on your record and become entitled but not eligible because you're suspended. But then the 24-month waiting period for Medicare kicks in on a disabled child, and within 2 years, the child would at least get Medicare. No benefits, but could get Medicare. That's the only time a suspension makes sense, if you don't want to take your benefit and you've got a disabled child. Talk about survivor benefits. Survivor benefits, this is called it's a couple of categories. Number one is the aged widow. A widow or widower can file at age 60 on the survivor's record and take a 30% reduction. A widow or widower between age 50 and 60 can file on that same deceased record and draw disability benefits. That's a 30% reduction. A divorced widow or widower has been married for 10 years can file on that record. Mothers and fathers of any age caring for a child 16 or younger. This is the case where we've got a 45-year-old father who in a car accident on the expressway and leaves a wife and 4 children. She's 43 and you got several children under the age of 18. She can receive and all the kids can receive. She drops off the record when the youngest child turns 16, but the children can receive through age 18. Children's benefits through age 18 or 19 if they're in school or if disabled prior to age 22. That's a survivor benefit. AET, the annual earnings test, applies to all these people. Okay? Everybody's subject to the annual earnings test. So if you're 62 years old and you're a widow or widower and you want to file on that record, first thing Social Security is going to want to know is how much you're making from your job or self-employment, whether we're going to pay you or not. Survivor benefits. Here is an option that I want to throw out there because I've run into numerous cases. Aged widow or widower option. And by aged, I mean 60 or older, all right? The widow or widower is eligible at age 60 with a 30% reduction. The strategy is start one benefit at a lower rate, like the widow's, switch to a higher benefit later at full retirement age or 70. The higher benefit would have to be their own benefit at 70. Widow benefits do not accrue delayed retirement credits. Only retirement benefits do. And divorced widows have this option. So we got to sit down, and I sit down with a client and I say, okay, here's what you can get as a widow. Here's what you can get on your own now, or if you wait till 70, yours is going to be $600 higher. And does it fit in your portfolio? Can you afford to take the lower widow benefit for 3 or 4 years and then switch to the higher benefit? An important strategy that is missed. We've got the windfall elimination provision. The windfall elimination provision affects the retirement benefit if you're eligible for a pension based on non-covered employment, government or foreign country. For instance, you work for OPERS, state of Ohio. You work for Hamilton County. You work for the city of Cincinnati. You're drawing a pension based on work where you did not contribute to Social Security Fund. And that benefit is going to affect your full age retirement benefit. Right now, in fact, I'm just doing one this week, the max offset is like $462. So if a person could get, when you get your Social Security statement, it says you're eligible for $900. Now, this is somebody who worked their career, just about their whole career, 30 or 40 years, under another system like the state of Ohio, teachers or firemen or policemen or whatever. They worked their career there, but they did have some side Social Security, and they could get $900 a month Social Security when they turn 66 or their full retirement age. But this pension they're drawing from OPERS is about, or wherever they're getting it from, is about, let's say, $4,000 a month. All right. So at $4,000 a month, they're going to get hit with a roughly $460 reduction in their $900. So instead of $900, they're going to draw $440 starting at full retirement age. So these people are affected. Their primary insurance amount, their age 66 amount, is what gets reduced. And then Social Security looks at it and says, okay, if you're taking it at 64, that 440 is going to get reduced about 7%. Now, people get windfall elimination confused with government pension offset, and I hope this clarifies it because I'm going to go into the GPO in just a second. Under the windfall elimination provision, though, if you've got 21 or more substantial earnings years, it can reduce the WEP offset. If you have 30 substantial earning years, it eliminates the offset. A substantial earnings years is a defined amount through the years. In 2020, substantial earnings are $25,575. So that way, if you made that much under covered employment, that would be a substantial earnings a year. And as you go back in time, like in 1974, a substantial earning year is $3,300. Well, if you've got 30 of those, you're not going to get hit with the offset. And some people retire, and I've got ones going on now, they've got 28 years of substantial earnings plus their $5,000 pension from OPERS. Well, that 28 years, their reduction on the WEP is going to be about $60, $70, not $460. So by getting more substantial earnings years, you can eliminate the windfall. Your Social Security statement does not compute that. I've got an online detailed calculator that I use and put in the pension, and it gives you the offset. Windfall elimination provision affects your own retirement benefit. Government pension offset affects any spousal and widower benefit that you could receive. if you're eligible for a pension based on non-covered employment. So now we're looking at how much, if you were, let's say, just an example, you were a wife who worked and taught in the school system, and your Social Security is only like $400 a month because you're getting this great teacher's pension. So you're getting $4,000 a month from the teacher's pension, and 2/3 of that, $2,680, offsets any spousal benefit you could get. So it wipes out any spousal benefit and any widow or widower benefit you could get. So that's where this $2,680, that offset, 2/3 of that $4,000 offsets any widow benefit he or she could get. Foreign pensions do not cause an offset on government pension. So someone who is, in fact, I got a client like that right now from the Philippines, and they're getting a foreign pension. And normally that would offset any spousal or widow benefits, but it doesn't, because foreign pensions, like payments from Social Security systems, don't count. These people are from the Philippines. So government pension offset, windfall elimination provision. Here are my fees. And before we go on to next week, I just want to explain what I do for people. I charge for retirement analysis, and that is going over all these details that we just talked about, whatever situation you're in. And I get all kind of different situations: married, divorced, widowed. I charge $300 to do an analysis for for an individual, and $550 for a couple. I charge $200 to do an online retirement claim. That means you give me some information and we file your claim online. Disability claims are $750 or a fee agreement, depending on the situation. There's misinformation cases. I charge a fee agreement for that, 25% of any past due benefits, up to a maximum amount. In other issues, my hourly rate's $250 an hour. When I do this, understand, I don't tell people what to do. I give them their options, and they need to make up their own minds. There are a few times, like this couple I've got coming this week, who are 67 and 68 years old. It may be well to their benefit for one to file and restrict to the other record. But I will certainly point that out and say most people would do this. It's up to you guys. So that's, in a nutshell, Social Security 101. I've been dealing with people for the past, 40 years in the Social Security system, and I've got a lot of knowledge in this area. And if you know someone who, could use these services, I appreciate your referral. Next week, we're going to talk about some other subjects that are a little more advanced. Disability benefits. We're going to talk about misinformation cases. Misinformation cases is when somebody from an official capacity at Social Security gave you wrong info. We're going to talk about they said, quote unquote, they said cases. In other words, be careful where you get your information from. Uncle Bill, friends, you need to get the information from an official source or someone who has knowledge. Okay, and we're going to talk about Medicare entitlement next week, and we're going to talk about dealing with Social Security, some practical advice, very important stuff. So that is it for today. So I will entertain any questions you might have, Jeff.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Denny. We do have a few questions. The first one is right out of the gate, having to do with Medicare Part A. Okay. Can I opt out of Medicare Part A, delay Part B because I still work for a company for more than 20 employees so I can continue to my company HSA group plan? Now that's more of a Medicare topic, but can you speak to that?
Yeah, I can. That depends. You can opt out of it if you chose to take Part A. If you took your Social Security benefit and were automatically enrolled, you cannot opt out of it. Okay? So if you just decided, this is another they said case I'll talk about. It's my perfect example. Someone who might have filed for Part A thinking they had to, and now they can't contribute to their HSA. So if you were proactive and you did the filing for Part A, you can withdraw from it. But if you took your Social Security benefit and automatically got Part A, you're done. You can't.
Great. Thank you for distinguishing that.
Sure.
Next question. Can we get a copy of the slides? Can we get a PDF or like a PowerPoint copy of these slides? And
I don't mind.
Yeah.
If you email me, I will do that. I wanted to show you one other thing. I meant to show to everybody this. On the screen now, there's a form called Update 2020. Great lot of information on there, on the retirement test, full retirement year, on the back, supplemental security income, really important information on Medicare on the back. You can get this form at, if you go to their website, ssa.gov, and slide down to publications and type in Update 2020. It's a good form to have. But yeah, in answer to your question, Jeff, what was your question? I forget it.
Well, just the power of the slide deck.
Yeah. If you email me, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, and what's more, we will put a copy of this recording. We'll put the recording out on our website, the YouTube version of it. So you'll have the sound with it. So
I realize that this is a lot of info to soak up at one time. So
it is. I learn something new every time we go on here. This is about the third time I've done this with you.
That's good.
Next question. The 18,240 for a single person household is double that? Okay. The $18,240 is for a single person.
Correct. A wife and husband, it's each.
Yeah. Household.
Yeah.
Is the household double that?
Household, meaning.
Yeah.
Each individual has a limit, 18,240.
Okay.
That's it. And they're looking at your income on that 18,240. Your 17-year-old son that got a job on construction, 18,240. Your wife, who may be filing on your record, 18,240 for her.
Okay. That has to do with earnings.
Right.
Are the self-employment wages gross or net? Kind of an accounting question. Can you elaborate on that for somebody not too well versed in that like me?
Sure. If you're self-employed like I am, you file a Schedule C and a Schedule SE. In the Schedule SE, it's the net shown. It's the net shown on your Schedule C. So it's after your deductions. That's what they're looking at, not your gross. So you can have a $50,000 gross in your business, but have $20,000 or $30,000 in expenses.
Yeah.
Pretty expensive. But then your earnings are going to be $20,000 that year.
Good. Okay.
So I hear what you're saying, but it is the net. It's the bottom line on your Schedule C.
Great. Okay. Next question. If a person's birthday is January or early in the calendar year, are they at a disadvantage?
In what way? No, I mean,
speak to the full retirement age, or I think also that other item you were talking about delayed retirement.
Well, the earlier your date of birth in your full retirement year, so if you were born in March, April, May, or June, the more advantageous it is. Because, for example, if you were born in November, they're looking at how much you're making January through October, which is, if you're making $100,000, you're probably making around $85,000. So that's what they're looking at to apply the $48,600. So there is an advantage to being born earlier in your full retirement year.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, there's no advantage. I mean, it is what it is.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully that answered the question. If not, please add more to it.
I got a phone number there. Just call me up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. This one if someone has OPR's pension and is 2/4 shy of receiving Social Security benefits, is it worth them pursuing the additional quarters?
I would have to say yes. I will tell you why. Because the windfall, and some people, now you will hear this again, misinformation from Social Security. Oh, your benefit's only $200. You're not going to get anything because that 400 is going to offset that 200. No, it's not. You will always get something from Social Security, even if you're a maximum WEP offset. And like if your benefit's only $300 a month from Social Security, and you got your 2/4, and it's going to be $300 a month. All right, you're going to get some of that. In fact, what's going to happen is the WEP, there's different, I didn't go into this, it gets complicated, but the WEP, for persons with a low Social Security benefit, they hit that Social Security benefit and give you 50% of it. They don't offset it by the $460, the maximum offset. So yes, long term, yes, you got to put in, a quarter of coverage is about $1,260, all right, roughly. And so you would need 4/4. You can get, if you needed 2, you could get 4/4 in 1 year. Now, your eligibility doesn't come up until the following year. You don't earn the quarters in 2020 and then get your benefit in 2020. If after the year's over and you've accrued those quarters, January 21, you could get your Social Security benefit. But I would, because you're going to put in about $4,000. Your benefit might be $200 a month or whatever it is, or more. Take that times, hope you live a long life, and there you go.
Great. Thank you so much. Next question. If you take Social Security in January of full retirement year, you turn 66 in June, does your benefit increase to full amount in June?
No, once you've taken that reduction, that's permanent. What I showed on the screen, that 2.8, that $78 reduction, that's permanent. Doesn't go up.
I think that answers the question. And more questions flowing in now. Great. Thank you so much, everybody. Will your Social Security benefit increase if you do not take it the month of your full retirement month? Would you recommend doing this if one is still working?
That's a personal decision. It'll increase through age 70 at 8% a year. So, for example, somebody whose benefit when they were 66, that might have been $3,000, okay, and that's a high benefit. The max now is 3,000 something. When you turn 70 over a 3 or 4 year period, that benefit is going to go from 3,000 to about 3,800, 3,900. So if you don't take it, you're getting your 8%. Now, what you don't do is wait till after age 70 because you're not accruing any interest on your money.
Okay. Okay. Comment. Great seminar. I was born 12/9 of 56, plan on retiring 12/9 of 2021. Maybe earlier, depending on how much I receive. Is it too early for us to talk and hire you? My wife is a retired teacher.
No, not at all. I get a lot of people do it a year or two ahead of time that are you're planning what the future may hold. And so then you can take home right now, if I take it, then here's what I'll get. If I waited longer, here's what I get. And now then we're going to look at your spouse because she's probably getting a pension and that's going to affect anything she could get on your record. And yeah, no, it's not, it's perfect timing. Most of my clients now were born in 1955 to 1960.
Okay, another comment from a listener. Thanks so much for including the PowerPoint. My spouse attended a meeting of yours 4 years ago. And the brother passed away at age 64. Spouse is age 56. Is the 10-year marriage rule applicable? If the spouse gets disabled at age 60, can she draw on his benefit? I can read that back if you want me to break that out for you.
Well, if they weren't divorced, there's no 10-year. There's no 10-year. That's only for divorced couples. And are they saying they were divorced?
Let me read this to you again.
Okay.
Brother passed away at age 64. Spouse is age 56. Is the 10-year marriage rule applicable?
You're confusing. If was his spouse, you're confusing divorced spouse with a regular spouse. There's only a 1-year duration of marriage before a spouse could be eligible to a widow benefit.
Okay.
So as long as they were married for a year before he died, she could get widow benefits on his record. The 10-year period is if they were divorced.
Okay. If the spouse gets disabled at age 60, can she draw on his benefit?
Is he alive? I assume he is.
I think he's. I think we're alluding to the fact that he passed.
Okay. Yes.
So,
She could file. Well, she could file for. If she's 60, she can file on his record for widow benefits, keeping in mind that they'd be reduced to about 30%, whatever. And usually it's what he could have received or was receiving when he died. That's what she'll get, 30% of that at age 60.
okay.
She wouldn't file for disability then, because she just filed for the widow benefit. Because at age 60, if she raised 55, it'd be the same benefit amount if she were disabled. But if she's 60, she's going to get the age of widow benefit. Okay.
Okay. And okay. Oh, the follow-up to that is the brother was drawing Social Security when he passed. Is the spouse eligible for anything before age 60?
If she's disabled between age 50 and 60.
Okay.
And let me emphasize, you got to be really disabled. Okay. I mean, there's a severe test of disability, which I'll go into next week.
Okay. Now we have a question about earnings. Now, are you saying that the most you can earn net is $48,000 after they start drawing Social Security, and then the 1 to 3 rule will apply?
No, I'm not saying that's the max they could make. I'm saying that's the maximum you're allowed to earn before the before the 1 for 3 rule. If you're going to make 45,000, you're way under that limit. Mm-hmm. If you make over that, that's when the 1 for 3 rule comes in. But they're only looking at what you're making between January of the year and the month before you turn 66 or the month before your full retirement month. So you might make like that example here. I'll bring it up again.
Yeah.
Like this example here. This person here, they're working all year. They're not quitting work. They're going to make $100,000. But when you do the math, Social Security is going to say, we don't care what you make after May, how much you're going to make January through May. And they're going to make about $41,600. Okay. And that's, 7,000 roughly under the limit. So they can draw their benefits starting in January. Otherwise, if they had been born in December, now they got a whole different, there's only 11 months times 8,000, they're making 88,000. This 41,000 figure goes to 88,000 because Social Security is looking at January through November earnings. So now they're quite a bit over that 48,000 limit. I hope that clarified. Feel free to give me a call if you got other questions.
Yeah, put that back up there. Yeah, it's very helpful.
You want me to put it back up?
Okay, we've got it up now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Phone number and your. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yes, your website. Go check out his website. If both husband and wife are getting Social Security and his benefit is greater than yours, should he die, can the spouse now get the benefit instead of keeping her own?
No, she'll get the difference. If he dies and he's getting 3,000 and she's getting 1,500, she would get 1,500 on hers record. This is in a ballpark figure, and 1,500 on her own. So she's going to get the 3,000, but she can't drop hers, and it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. She's going to get the difference. You don't drop your entitlement; they just pay you the difference. But if she's full retirement age, she's going to get that difference. So she's going to have 3,000 in her pocket no matter what.
Okay. Okay. If you worked for the school system for over 30 years, would you lose money from Social Security?
Well, I don't know what you mean by lose money, because you didn't put into the Social Security system. So you're putting into a different system. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get what you're entitled to based on what you put into Social Security. And that's when, and they're going to look at that and say, you also got this 30,000 when you were able to work. Normally they would pay you whatever you put into the system, but because you're subject to the windfall provision, whatever you get from Social Security is going to be reduced too. So you know, but the way Social Security is looking at it, and then the law is, you work for 30,000, you're drawing this $6,000 a month pension. You're not going to get, and here's the reason why. You know, people come and say, hey, I earned that money, that's my money, I want that money. They shouldn't be reducing it. Well, let me give you the standard line on that, okay? And how the law changed it. Why? Lower Social Security benefits. How can I put this? People who have lower earnings get a higher Social Security benefit in relationship to those earnings than people that had maximum earnings under Social Security. Proportionally, that lower benefit is a little bit higher than, because they set up the system that way. So what Social Security says is, you're not going to get that full benefit if you've been out there working for 40 years in another system and had the opportunity to get a higher benefit and another benefit. So, you know, are you going to lose? Yeah, but you gain through the other system. So therefore the offset.
Okay, and a question I get quite a bit is, what is the future of Social Security? Is it going to run out of money? You know, what is the prospect for this looking down the road 40 years or something like that?
Well, I don't think so. And here's why. You think these last riots were bad, you get the old people rioting if you lose their Social Security system. No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. They want to save this system. Mm-hmm. But you know how Congress is. Holy mackerel, they hate each other up there now. So they'll come up with a way to save it. Now, one of the ways they came up with was what they did in 2016. That preserved the trust funds. But what's going to happen? My son, who's 45 years old, my daughter's 47, they are going to say to these people that are younger, maybe kids younger than them, people are living longer. So if you were born after 1970, that you can't start drawing your benefit until you're 65. And they're going to raise this tax base, which this year is 137.7. They're going to raise that, you know, higher and higher, and tax the maximum to maximum. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see that tax base go sky high, 400,000 or more. Okay. I think they'll save this system. Now, will it be in the same shape it is later? Who knows? But they've got billions of dollars, and they have ways of saving it. They're just sitting on their hands right now. They did something a few years ago. They did trinkets through the years in 2000, but they see this train coming at them a little faster now. I think it's going to be attended to a little quicker because of the COVID. You know, what happens when something like this is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember bad economic times when I worked at Social Security. We got busier than a one-armed paper hanger.
Wow.
Yeah, and people just, I mean, they got to go. They got to take their benefits. So, no,
Yeah.
my prediction is we all, older people, if you're 50 or 60 or older, you should be okay. And they're going to make some changes that affect the younger group.
Okay, well, time for one more question. When self-employed and paying into Social Security, does that count towards your quarters?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Hey,
I think it's 1260. Yep.
great. Well, terrific. We really appreciate your time today, Denny. And of course, next week, we'll do another session. And if you haven't registered for next week's webinar, by all means, go out to our website and do so. And as I mentioned earlier, everybody will get a copy of this presentation, and I'll try to include that spreadsheet that he included as well. So have a great day.
One of the
everybody.
interesting parts about next week is I'm going to be covering things of real life cases that people have, so you don't make mistakes like other people have made. So it'll be interesting.
Okay.
Hope to see you all there.
See you all then.